Let's talk about cinema. The thing that would make Hitchcock proud, Jean-Luc Godard proud, Stanley Kubrick proud, Orson Welles proud, Michael Bay proud. Let's talk about Godzilla X Kong, The New Empire. Peak cinema right here. Peak cinema. Intricately written, masterfully directed, with what, a 62% on Rotten Tomatoes? 55% on Rotten Tomatoes. This is a disgrace. This is shameful. Everyone should be ashamed. On a more serious note, it is the biggest tentpole blockbuster right now. It is the movie that came out and is doing the best at the box office. In fact, its box office very much exceeded expectation. If we look at the box office, it was 80 million domestic. That is on par with Dune 2. Dune 2, which people were praising as one of the greatest science fiction films ever made, which completely blew up, had some of the biggest stars in the industry, and everybody seems to love it. The quality of the film from Denis Villeneuve himself actually stunned a lot of people. And then here we have, big dinosaur lizard thing and big ape teaming up with an atrocious title like Godzilla X Kong. Seriously, literally anything else. Godzilla and Kong / Kong, Godzilla Kong, whatever. Just don't ship them. It's that simple. Regardless, Godzilla X Kong does the same, right? And now it's propelled this MonsterVerse franchise, this series of King Kong, Godzilla type movies, to become a $2 billion franchise. So the box office here is interesting. Why is this kind of movie making so much money? This is not really precedented. This is the biggest, the best that the MonsterVerse has done financially so far. And I think there's a very simple principle behind it. Number one, the franchise itself is gaining momentum. And two, the industry is gaining momentum. We just had Dune 2. We're still recovering from the Rona. I won't say the name of that virus, but the Rona. So, I mean, what seems to be the case here is that, and also, there is a very dedicated fan base here that is going to care a lot about these MonsterVerse movies, that like the spectacle, that like the VFX, that like the story. Imagine. But yeah, that's sort of behind why it's doing well. But regardless of that, the positive momentum both from the movie environment and the rest of the franchise kind of, stands at odds with how the film has been received. It's currently standing, and, Rotten Tomatoes is not the definitive indicator of a film's quality. It's just a good way to gauge what people thought. From critics, it has a 55%. And the consensus is, quote, "Come to Godzilla X Kong The New Empire for the sheer monster-mashing spectacle, and stay for that too, because the movie doesn't have much else to offer," end quote. However, we see a very common phenomenon. The audience score is 92%. So why is the audience score this high and the tomato meter 55%? I think there are a few simple causes. I mean, and it's not that complicated. Critics seem like they hate movies sometimes just because they're straight fun, right? And not having seen the movie yet, I mean, I know what to expect going into it. It's going to be a movie with a bunch of CGI, dinosaurs and gorillas wrecking each other, with not much substance to it, and probably a story thrown on there just to justify it as a movie and not a series of, vaguely connected VFX shots. But that's also the problem. It's a movie, and it attempts to have a story, right? So the thing is, it's not that, oh, why can't you just have a simple, fun movie? But this simple, fun movie is actively held back by a story that seems like a necessity, right? But it holds us back from having that super fun, rock'em sock'em robot experience of watching dinosaurs and lizards and gorillas fighting. It's not that it has a story and that every movie needs to have deep, complex thematic argument and, super subtle, writing and acting. It's not that. At least not to me. To me, it's because all the things it attempts to do are not fulfilled. Because it has, seemingly, as is the case with the previous films, a narrative shoehorned in as an excuse to get to these big fights, the reason everybody's coming to see the movie. But they are so poor that it ends up detracting. It reminds me of last year, a movie from last year, which has gone completely, dead. Like, radio silent. Nobody talks about this movie anymore. I want to talk about Cocaine Bear. Okay, now hear me out. Cocaine Bear is not that good of a movie. Okay, it's fine, right? We come to see Bear Mayhem, and there's barely any in it, right? But it's serviceable because the story is not so atrociously bad and dull that it completely rips investment out and it's a boring experience. If that's the case with Godzilla, then we're actively having to sit through junk in order to get through the good stuff. The junk should at least be tolerable enough so where it doesn't mitigate from the good stuff, the, monsters fighting. And then the other thing is not just the fact that it's, CGI spectacle, right? That's not a problem. But it's not staged in a way that's engaging. And Godzilla Minus One from last year has sort of spoiled us in that case because even on a, insanely lower budget, it still managed to deliver that spectacle because of the way it's directed and the way it's staged. It has serious impact whenever Godzilla is on screen, and the story just happens to be good, right? So either have a passable story or a fleshed out story. Don't do neither. Don't try to go a middle route and have a story that ends up, detracting from the good stuff, right? It's like if you have a food and there's, good ingredients in the food and that's at the core of the food, but you have to wade through all this junk to get through it. Either you remove the junk or you make the junk good. Simple as that. But why is the audience score so high if I'm defending the critics on this, right? If I'm defending the 45% of the critics who didn't like the film, what's up with the audience score? Isn't that a better indicator? Well, here's the thing. Critics, because it is their job to see movies, they're not going to like every movie they see. They see movies that they don't like because it's part of that's their occupation, right? Because somehow they decided, a good way to spend your life is yapping about movies. No hypocrisy here. But if you go see a movie as a casual audience member, right, as an enjoyer of the medium, you're doing it because from what you've seen, the movie seems like you will enjoy it. So inherently, if you think you're going to enjoy a movie going in, you're probably going to see the kind of movie that you enjoy, and therefore, you like the movie. All the people who are super snobby about it, who only see the most prestigious indie art house movies premiering at whatever film festival, they're not going to walk into the theater and see the movie. And therefore, their reviews are not dragging down the average. To me, this situation is not that complicated, and there shouldn't be much controversy over it. But there's also the matter of, what did I think of the movie? Stay tuned for that, coming soon on the Cinema Nerd YouTube channel. So what do you think? Do critics need to be so critical and so obtuse about this not having the most layered and complex story? Are our general audience members stupid? Is that what it is? Is there a lore reason? Are they stupid? And is the box office something we should be paying attention to? Is it going to have the legs of Dune 2? I don't believe so. But it is surprising to see.